Back on the blue turf here in Boise, Idaho, number 23 versus number 21, the Broncos and the Aggies for the Mountain Division Championship here inside Albertson Stadium. Utah State won the toss and has elected to receive as Jalen Green and Savon Scarver drift back deep. Scarver, the leading kick returner in the country, helping lead the charge for this explosive Aggies offense. So glad you could join us tonight for this outstanding matchup between two of the hottest teams in the country. They've won their last 16 games in a row combined, Tom, and away we go from the blue turf here in Idaho. And a fair catch called for. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Aggies from their 25. So important for these teams to get off to a good start. Utah State has done that and then some this year. One of the top teams in first quarter play this season, led by Jordan Love, who may be the best quarterback in the country that no one knows about.
Which is remarkable because he has 2 500-yard-plus games to his resume this year alone, and 25 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions on the year.
On first down, quick game as they swing it out in the flats. And a gain of 6 yards on first down. A reception made by Aaron Vaughns, one of the heroes last week in the comeback win against Colorado State. And here comes this tempo by Utah State. Tom, they'll go as quick as anybody in the nation. 2 passes, 2 catches. That's good enough for a first down. Avery Williams with the stop. But 11 yards on the first 2 plays as Jalen Green makes the grab.
Oh, and you see how powerful Jordan Love's arm strength is. He can whip the ball out, and he can get it down the field. And right now, Boise State just electing to play a little more pass coverage early on.
Winner of this game will battle Fresno State, hosting the Bulldogs a week from tonight in the Mountain West Championship game. Love with a clean pocket fires a pass that is deflected, incomplete. Evan Tyler was able to get a fingertip on it as they were trying to spot Dax Raymond, the talented tight end.
Yeah, Dax Raymond's one of Jordan Love's favorite targets, the tight end, a pro prospect as well.
Off play action, they'll swing it out again, and there's a crease near sideline. There goes Vaughns. Ushered out inside the 30, the first big play of the night. Tyler credited with a stop. That's a gain of 37.
Roy, simple pass concepts, but big yardage as a result.
Darwin Thompson in the backfield. Aggies do have a nice 1-2 punch at running back. Jalen Green makes a man miss and is tripped up short of the 20. So here comes Utah State, averaging nearly 51 points per game in their 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, the only team outscoring them is Oklahoma this year.
Darwin Thompson straight ahead on second down. Will have enough to pick up another first down. Maeva finally brought him down to the turf.
Well, we can see that Utah State is pretty comfortable working the perimeter of this Boise State defense. And, of course, Boise State playing without one of their best defenders, Keikoa Nawahine, not playing tonight for Boise State.
And, Tom, that's an enormous loss for a secondary that has been rock solid this season. That news breaking just moments before we came on the air. Opening possession of this matchup between 2 top 25 programs.
Dax Raymond, your tight end.
Love, the quick toss to Jordan Nathan. The jump cut, and then driven backwards. As Curtis Weaver makes his first tackle of the night.
You're going to hear a lot about Curtis Weaver. He's a great edge player. Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator, telling us earlier tonight they got to play great on the edge, both Weaver and Jabril Frazier.
On second down and 5. Aggies quick to the line. They'll look to the sideline to get the correct play call. And Jordan Love has the ability to change that call, which he's doing now. And you see he's off to a fast start. That was Vaughns in motion. Thompson the carry. Spins his way inside the 10. It'll bring up third down and 2. Only loss this season for Utah State back in week 1 at Michigan State. And that was a touchdown contest.
And Roy, you know, I've talked about it all year long. We had Utah State early in the year. They are a hot team, one of the nation's hottest, and not a lot of teams want to play them right now.
And you can see why. Love wants the back shoulder fade, end zone. Touchdown Aggies, and Jalen Green, who was one time committed to Boise State, reaches pay dirt as Utah State strikes first.
Again, the arm strength of Jordan Love firing at Jalen Green, who, yes, was once a Boise State commit, ended up at USC. A great catch on that back shoulder throw by Jordan Love. And just remarkable how they move down the field. They work the perimeter of the defense. They still mix in some run game. And, of course, their offensive coordinator, David Yost, having worked under the great Mike Leach, has air raid concepts in this offense. And it's a lot of Matt Wells' offense, too. The old Utah State just get it down the field.
Extra point is good. Aggies on the scoreboard early. $75 yards in 9 plays for Utah State on the road on the opening possession of this football game with Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. Edward Aschoff joins us now from the sidelines. And Jordan Love, Edward, off to a very fast start tonight.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier this week, and talk about a guy who's cool and collected. I asked him about that game-winning drive that he had against Colorado State last week, under a minute to go, and he was just like, oh yeah, 2-minute drill. It was easier than what we do in practice, and Matt Wells, the head coach before the game, said 1 minute, 36 seconds, looked at his offense, and the offensive line laughed and said, oh, this is way easier than what we do, and Jordan is the reason why. This is a guy who does not flinch. Blue turf does not intimidate him.
Killian Butler brought down short of the 20. And Matt Wells is an interesting coach. In his 6th season in Logan, he told us this week, I look at this game tonight as round 8 of Mountain West Conference play. And in other words, he views it as just another game, when really it is anything but, with a chance to clinch an appearance in the Mountain West Championship game next week.
Winner take all tonight, and really winner gets to go to the Mountain West Conference Championship and be the host. So that's where this game becomes pivotal for these two teams.
Our first look at Brett Rippon, the senior quarterback from Spokane, Washington, and the all-time leading passer in Mountain West Conference history, as Alexander Madison, punishing run, ushered out short of the 25 with a penalty flag on the field. Cameron Haney with the tackle. Scott Campbell, our official tonight.
Number 86, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
Chase Blakely, 5th-year senior tight end on senior night.
Correction, that penalty will be half the distance.
Well, you mentioned Brett Rippon a moment ago, Roy, and just his yards, completion percentage that he's put up, 36 career wins. I think that's pretty impressive in Mountain West Conference history. The number 1 player, Andy Dalton, who's now with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Elite company for sure. So after the penalty, it'll be 1st and 19. Rippon with a clean pocket. Rips it across the middle, and it's incomplete. John Bates, the intended receiver. And he dropped that one in this cold weather. That's one he'd love to have back.
A little cool tonight, but Rippon right on target. Zach Hill, the offensive coordinator, saying he wanted to get Brett Rippon started early and often, but give him some easy throws. I don't know how easy a seam route is down the middle to your tight end, but he put it right on Bates' hands. Should have been caught.
Well, it's been a crazy weekend of college football so far. Michigan went down day to Ohio State. 2nd loss of the season for the Wolverines. Here's Rippon. C.T. Thomas, arguably the best hands on the team, dances out near the 20. We saw Washington beat Washington State yesterday in the Apple Cup. So the Cougars now eliminated from playoff consideration. That's a gain of 11. And Notre Dame right now being tested at Southern California over on ABC.
Yeah, this is a great week of college football. Of course, next week as well. Boise State on 3rd down, 2nd in the country in conversion percentage at 55%. Only Army is better on third down.
Broncos need 8 here. Rippon, flush, delivers. Sean Monster, first catch of the night. He'll be dropped after a gain of 1 by Jontrell Rockamore. And Rockamore rocks him right to that blue turf. Punt team on the field for Boise State.
Rockamore, the fifth-year senior, one of the heroes of last week's victory over Colorado State. He had a pick-6 interception and just playing so well for that defense of Keith Patterson's. And they run to the ball. Man, are they fast.
And how about this start by the Aggies? Boise State 3 and out after a Utah State 75-yard scoring drive. Pressure on Quinn Skillen as Nathan corrals it and is promptly dropped inside his own 35. After a punt of 40 yards, Utah State takes over 7-0. Aggies out in front.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Senior night on the blue turf. Jabril Frazier, Tyler Horton, and Brett Rippon all being honored shortly before kickoff. 18 seniors in all being recognized here this evening. Tom Ramsey, Edward Ashoff, Roy Philpott. Inside Albertson Stadium, it's been a wacky weekend of college football and a fast start for the Aggies in this winner-take-all Mountain Division championship game inside the Mountain West Conference. Winner of this one hosts Fresno State a week from tonight for the title in this league. And Jordan Love, Tom, 6 for his first 7. He's been impressive.
He really has, and he got it to different receivers. Of course, the touchdown throw to Jalen Green on that first drive.
The late handoff right through the A-gap. A gain of not call it 10. That's going to be enough to move the chains. Darwin Thompson, part of that 1-2 punch in the backfield.
And Roy, usually teams run to set up the pass. Utah State passing first, setting up the run.
RPO Love hits the blue turf. Boise State trying to catch its breath as you take a look at Love's numbers.
Very impressive. You know, they came out throwing and threw some swing passes and just really worked that perimeter of the Boise State defense.
Great energy here in Boise tonight. Back shoulder toss to Green, sails out of bounds. An important third down now for the Broncos offense, or defense, excuse me.
It is tough. They got to get off the field tonight. Boise State, they wanted to start fast and going out early, not getting enough first downs. I mean, all of a sudden, you put a little more pressure on that Boise State defense. I think, again, the edge rushers, Weaver, Curtis Weaver, number 99, has to come up big tonight.
Broncos with 36 sacks this season. Utah State has yielded just 7. Ronquavian Tarver makes the grab, but well short of the line he needed to gain. Evan Tyler in coverage, pickup of 5. And the punt team on the field for the Aggies. Big stop for the Boise State defense.
Sure was. Yeah, they rushed 4, had a little pressure in Jordan Love's face, and now they get to flip the field with a punt. And, you know, again, special teams play such an important role in all these games.
Taylor Heinz spins it to Avery Williams with a fair catch at the 12.
Fair catch is called for at the 12.
After a punt of 39, Broncos will take over. So you saw Brett Rippon there on that first possession. It was 3 and out. Anything Brian Harsin and Zach Hill need to change here early?
Yeah, you know, Roy, it's interesting. You know, senior night, we've talked about this. A lot of teams going through senior night this time of year, and it's an emotional deal. But the seniors that Boise State has, they've been part of so many great wins. And I just think, you know, the Mountain West Conference the last few years, you've either had to go through Boise State or San Diego State. And this year, Utah State is battling Boise State for the right to represent the Mountain Division.
That was Blakely in motion. Play action for Rippon. There comes the pressure, and down he goes. Inside the 1-yard line, Caden Anderson, his first sack of the season, and it's a big one.
Anderson.
Sure is. Great pass rush that time by Caden Anderson. Just leverages the guard.
Second down and 3.
And the guard just missed him.
Redshirt sophomore from Logan, Utah, after a loss of 9. Rippin from his own end zone. Fires a pass. Monster has it. Makes a move. Ushered out short of the 20. It'll bring up third down and manageable for Boise State. Aaron Wade was ready and waiting as best as he could there.
And Cameron Haney getting the start. Deontay Fortenberry out with an injury for the remainder of the season, and that's a big loss for Utah State's defense.
Hey, injuries, a big factor across college football this time of year. We're seeing it just about everywhere today. On third down, Broncos need 5. Aggies showing pressure. Rippin with time, sails it incomplete. And the pass was high, looking for C.T. Thomas. Cameron Haney in coverage and did a nice job.
Utah State elected to rush 6 that time, and Utah State playing man free, so coming after Rippin and Brian Harsin asking him what he saw, and it's just man-free coverage. Your guy has to get separation if you hope to complete that ball.
Consecutive 3 and outs for the Broncos offense. Quinn Skillen hits it from his own 6. And a beautiful punt turns over to Jordan Nathan and waits for the fair catch. The Broncos will do their best to flip the field in our third look now at Jordan Love.
Yeah, 2 3 and outs. You don't hear that often with Boise State, especially at the start of a game. But Skillen, boy, what an athlete he is. They've used him at wide receiver in the past and even thought about playing him.
After a punt of 50 yards. The Aggies from their 33. And we welcome you to Boise, Idaho, here on the blue turf in this winner-take-all Mountain Division contest. Winner will host Fresno State in the Mountain West Conference Championship game 1 week from tonight. And the Utah State Aggies off and running with a 7-0 advantage away from home. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Edward Aschoff. The Aggies scored on their opening possession. Boise State has gone 3 and out twice. Chilly night, as you would expect, here in Boise, Idaho. What has been another chaotic weekend of college football. Clemson finding a way to get the job done against South Carolina. First and 10 for the Aggies here. Utah State possessing one of the top offenses in all of college football. Aggies have won their last 10 as Tarver sees that pass broken up by Tyler Horton. Now Jordan Love, impressive. There's his first scoring strike of the night.
Yeah, 6 of 7 on that first drive, and the touchdown going to Jalen Green. They just moved right down the field. 9 plays, 75 yards.
Love with a clean pocket. Fires a pass, and it's going to be picked off. The Boise State defense comes up huge as Jordan Love commits a rare mistake, his 5th interception of this season, and the Broncos take over in Utah State territory. Canio with the pick, and Tom, that's his 3rd of the season for the sophomore from Hawaii.
Kekala Canio just gets in the flat, and he ends up, he just runs zone, he breaks on the ball, and makes a one-handed catch. How about that? Caneo, a little extra pressure tonight with Nawahine out, and boy, I tell you, the Kahuku Red Raiders are proud of that young man.
From the 39, an opportunity now for Boise State. Rippin surveys, flings it deep. They'll take a shot. Richardson, end zone, and it's broken up. DJ Williams in coverage, and he did his best there to prevent the touchdown.
Well, DJ Williams, arguably the best cover corner for Utah State. Stride for stride with Richardson. That's just a great job getting his hand on the ball and Rippon's a little bummed there.
Brett Rippon, the nation's leading active passer, coming into this football game tonight. We talked to the Utah State players and coaches this week. They'll tell you they feel like he's been playing here for 17 years. Quickly out in the flats. And a gain of 4 will make it 3rd down and 6 as C.T. Thomas makes his second grab.
I believe Monster caught that. Monster having a big game a week ago with 3 touchdowns.
On 3rd down, another big play for this Boise State offense. Approaching 5 to play in the first quarter. Empty backfield. They'll set up the tunnel screen. And a nifty move to the outside. Butler picks up the first down. And a gain of 10 yards. First reception for Killian Butler. His 24th of the season.
Well, Monster, who caught that last pass, he gets the block out in front on that, and that just springs the receiver. This is a great throw and catch. Really nice running by Butler.
First down, Boise State out of the pistol. And the give straight ahead to Andrew Van Buren. First carry of the night for the freshman from West Hills, California.
Well, Alexander Madison does not come out of the game often. And when he does, Van Buren gives him a little spell. I believe Madison's back in the ball game.
I'm not taking Alexander Madison out too often, right?
No, he has played spectacular the last 4 games, Roy. Over 514 yards rushing.
Madison checks back in on 2nd down. This Boise State team methodically improving as the season has progressed, all the way to this 6-game winning streak. Madison makes a cut and a man miss. It'll be 3rd down and short.
Well, you bring up a great point. They have improved, and Brian Harsin told me before the game, he said the offensive line has really been the catalyst there in that improvement of the offensive numbers, and especially the last 3 weeks alone, while Rippon hasn't thrown for over 300 yards in any of the last 3 games. They have effectively rushed the ball. They've been really good on 3rd down, and they played great defense too.
Madison back-to-back 1,000-yard campaigns. Power formation. Madison gets the carry. That's a first down. Madison towards the end zone. It'll be 1st and goal for the Broncos. Gage Ferguson finally tripped him up.
Madison just following great blocks that time. They run a wing with the tight ends, and it's just down block, and guard pulls around, and Madison just with great vision that time and athleticism and almost getting over for the score.
After the interception, a nice response for the Broncos offense. 1 wide receiver formation. Madison, end zone. Touchdown, Boise State. th rushing touchdown of the season for the junior from California.
Again, that offensive line gets great push at the line of scrimmage. They have a little action in the backfield, just trying to fool some of the Utah State Aggies' eyes. And again, Madison powering over and getting 6 points for Boise State.
Offensive play caller Zach Hill told us this week he's quiet, he's humble, but he's hungry. And he's been running extremely hard these last 3 football games. Hayden Hogarth, an opportunity to try to tie this one up early. And the kick is good. 2:35 remaining in our first quarter, and our new score, we are tied at 7 on the blue turf. A great one brewing in the Mountain West Conference, tied at 7. 2:35 remaining in our first quarter as we take a look at how both teams are planning for success. Brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. First for the Broncos.
Well, I think Brian Harsin and Boise State did just that. Start fast, although they didn't really start fast. They went 2 3 and outs, but they got on the board. They responded, moving the chains, keeping momentum. That's Boise State football, and of course, protecting the football. Let the other team make the mistakes.
Scarver waves for the fair catch. They'll move it out to the 25-yard line. And for the Aggies from Logan, Utah, good start tonight, and especially for Jordan Love. As we take a look at how the Aggies are planning for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
And we talk about their up-tempo offense, having that continuity rhythm on the offensive side of the ball. I think running the ball, Roy, becomes really important. And I always say you got to keep one eye on the clock when you're playing Boise State, because the fourth quarter can sneak around pretty quick, and you want to be ahead or even with them as you approach that fourth quarter, because they're awfully tough on the blue.
The best winning percentage in college football here on the blue turf. They'll fake the reverse. Flag on the field. Bright somehow keeps it alive and sent out of bounds hard inside the 20. And there's another flag. A lot happening on that play for the Aggies. But at the end of the night, they move backwards. Now Tyson Maeva was all over that play from the get-go. Scott Campbell leading our Mountain West officiating crew this evening.
There are 2 fouls on the play by both teams. Holding, number 51, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 58, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So Maeva, they go through the sideline barrier, and then Quinn Ficklin, the center, gets a takedown.
Well, you think about it, the end result, plus 5 yards and an automatic first down on a play that should have lost about 10 for the Aggies. And the first down carry by Bright goes nowhere. Ezekiel Noah belted him down, no gain.
Yeah, and Maeva would tell you, hey, he was just continuing the play and just drove the back out of bounds, which I didn't know it was worthy of a flag.
Clean pocket for Love off his back foot. Tarver could not corral it, and Tyler Horton, the senior, helped break it up.
Well, that Boise State front, Roy, they have to get Jordan Love off his spot, because if he settles in and has ample time to throw, he can really gouge a defense. His arm strength is one of the best in the country, and he's had such a phenomenal year, throwing for almost 3,000 yards and 25 touchdowns.
Crowd on its feet once more.
Well, they got zoned the last time in coverage when Conejo made the interception.
Love flings it. Green incomplete. And Love a bit off target. Was knocked down to the blue turf in the process. And the punt team trots on the field again for the Aggies.
Well, Jabril Frazier coming in off the edge, and it becomes unsettling when number 8 gets some running shots at you. There's a whole host of Broncos back there with Jordan Love.
So Natane Louie shoved him down. And the Broncos now storming back, hoping for good field position. Taylor Heintz's punt. Williams. Well, he's explosive, but this time is bottled up after a 47-yard punt. Tied at 7, 96 seconds remaining in a fast-moving first quarter here in the Gem State. Make sure you kick off your Week 12 NFL Sunday with ESPN. At 10 a.m. Eastern, NFL Countdown returns. Sam and the guys will have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, previews, and much more. And, of course, also on the ESPN app, so you can watch it anywhere. And so many people still talking about that Monday night matchup between the Chiefs and the Rams. And it felt like one of these games you see in the Big 12, like last night, WVU and Oklahoma.
Right. Wasn't that? That was a great Monday night game. Boy, they had fun with it. All the players, I mean, you talk about a game that overperformed, right? Who would have anticipated that shootout? Well, most of us did.
On first down, Rippon gets it back, wide open, Monster inside the 30. He's brought down there. A big play for the Boise State offense. DJ Williams brought him down, but not before he picked up 51.
Again, it's the play action, Roy, and the fake. The ball fake by Brett Rippon, and then he just uncorks one down the middle of the field. Monster streaking, and they're lucky that ball was just a little bit underthrown. Otherwise, he takes that one to the house.
And you test this Utah State secondary, you better know what you're doing. They lead the country with 18 interceptions this season. Broncos now at the Utah State 25. Little misdirection. A hurdle. And how about Alexander Madison sent out near the 10? Boy, he can do a little bit of everything. We've seen the power. There's the speed and athleticism.
You think Saquon Barkley has an effect on running backs? And to make running backs even greater than they are, I mean, that is impressive right there. I mean, full speed. A defender's lowering his shoulders, and you just hurdle him like it's a 330 low hurdle. Bam.
DJ Williams was jumped over right there relatively easily by 22 in blue. He'll fake it his direction this time towards the end zone, and Richardson could not bring it in. Aaron Wade in coverage. That could have been 6. Second and 10 from the 13. This game moving at a breakneck pace here in our first quarter.
Well, I love Brett Rippon, his veteran presence, Roy, and the ball faking. He's really freezing the linebackers, and they're trying to go play action and get the ball over the second level defender, and those linebackers have to respect Alexander Madison.
A monster. Bottom of the screen has been dangerous in this position before, but so is 22. As Madison's tripped up. What could be the final play of these first 15 minutes.
Well, Boise State's 2 tackles have played phenomenal. John Ojukwu and Ezra Cleveland. I think they're 2 of the best in the game right now. Cleveland's playing at such a high level.
At the end, first quarter.
It's one of the biggest games in the history of the Mountain West Conference, and after the first quarter, we are tied at 7 here in Boise. You're watching college football on ESPN, brought to you by Geico. Here in the city of trees, Boise, Idaho. Start of our second quarter. This de facto championship game in the Mountain Division of the Mountain West Conference. Tom Ramsey, Edward Ashoff, Roy Philpott. 3rd and 4 coming up for Boise State. Broncos need to take it to the 2-yard line.
And Alexander Madison right at the top of your screen.
In motion, Rippon surveying with all kinds of time. Tosses towards the end zone, and that one sails high. Madison was over there. Outstanding coverage by Utah State, and Devon Anderson applying the pressure finally against Rippon.
Great defense that time by Utah State. They were able to pressure Rippon, and then it looked as though Boise State tried to get a little bit of trickeration going just with the motion of Madison. I'm not sure if they were trying to get him the ball. I thought they were trying to work one of the tight ends over the middle, but either way, the ball sails out of bounds, incomplete.
A 23-yard effort for Hayden Hogarth. And from the right hash, a chip shot is good. So the Broncos grab their first lead, 10-7, just underway here in our second quarter. Hard to believe it's right around the corner. Next Sunday, December 2nd, the exclusive reveal of the College Football Playoff semifinal matchups. Capital One Orange Bowl, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, headed your way at the end of next month on December 29th. Reese Davis and company will break down all the other big bowl games and have the final top 25 rankings in a 4-hour spectacular. It all starts at noon Eastern on ESPN, also the ESPN app. The selection show presented by AT&T here in Boise, Idaho. Albertson Stadium is rocking for this Mountain Division clash inside the Mountain West Conference. We check in for the first time tonight with our good friend Adnan Berg. Adnan.
And the Aggies will take over the 25-yard line.
that. The chaos, where has it been so far this year? Perhaps it's yet to come. We'll see what happens in the Coliseum as well. Handoff as Jordan Love trots back on the field, and the Aggies trailing tonight. And during this 10-game winning streak, boy, that is a rare notion for this club.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
No, that's not 600 minutes. And you trail for 12?
After a 3-yard gain by Darwin Thompson, Jordan Love got off to a fast start, 6 for his first 7, since in just 2 in his last 7 passing attempts. Love off the back foot, fires a strike. Pass is caught by DJ Nelson. Maeva with the tackle. 3rd and short.
Using tempo right away, trying to rush that Boise State defensive alignment.
Offensive play caller David Yost told us this year Jordan Love really does have a lot of control at the line of scrimmage with the play call. And he's just a redshirt sophomore. And his best football still well in front of him.
He really has a great feel for that offense.
They need less than a yard here. Pass is deflected and incomplete. Savon Scarver, the receiver. Avery Williams, the outstanding cover corner, broke it up.
Avery Williams is really good, Roy. And you know, right there, you're kind of going into the teeth of the defense. You're going against a veteran corner. He's played a lot of snaps. He's played in a lot of big games. And, you know, right there, he just pattern reads it, sticks his arm in, and swats the ball away.
Williams now back deep to receive this punt from Taylor Heinz. And it's a fake to the up back, needed across the 35. He did not get there. And the Broncos defense holds. That snap went straight to Dax Raymond. Matt Wells rolling the dice early in this one, and that one's going to hurt.
Well, I was going to say, on 3rd down and a foot, you know, that's time when you run the ball. And this time, 4th and a foot, Boise State stones them on the fake. Direct snap, as you mentioned, to Dax Raymond, the tight end, and he just goes nowhere. In fact, he lost a yard.
You surprised with that call at this juncture?
Yep, I am. This early in the game, and, you know, I think you flip the field, you put your defense back on, especially after just blowing it on 3rd and short.
Madison already off to a fast start tonight. Another punishing run inside the 30. This game started, it was all Aggies right down the field as a flag is out at the 25. And then since then, Boise State has seized control after that interception by Jordan Love.
Sort out the flag here.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 77, offense. 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. The down counts. 2nd down.
It's the starting left guard, John Molchon. Redshirt junior out of Las Vegas. That's a costly penalty.
And Molchon gets the flag. And Roy, I am surprised, you know, but Matt Wells told us this week, you know, he's going to be himself. He's going to, you know, not change anything going in. And so, I mean, when you think about taking chances like that, you got to take chances in big games.
There goes Madison off the right side. He'll get some of that penalty yardage back. Ahead to the 36. Chase Christiansen brought him to the turf.
You got to believe in your defense heavily, and they do. Keith Patterson, the defensive coordinator, really has done a great job. You mentioned the interceptions this year, 18 leading the nation, and of those 18, 6 were defensive touchdowns, and they had 2 last week against Colorado State that really turned the entire outcome of the game.
A miracle comeback victory in Fort Collins, keeping that 10-game win streak intact. Broncos need 12 here. Rippin down the field. Caught, 1st down Boise State. A.J. Richardson, another huge catch. And a gain of 18.
Well, they love Richardson. He's a good route runner, and just working, again, Jackson the corner, and that, again, just veteran receiver against a young redshirt freshman, and I'll take number 7 anytime.
Broncos on the move again. Winner of this game will host the Mountain West Conference Championship game next week. Big collision at the line. David Woodward, leading tackler for the Aggies, brings down Madison. There is a flag on the field. Two sides getting a little chippy in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, number 67, offense, 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. The down counts, second down.
Garrett Larson, the starting center. 2 costly penalties on the Boise State offensive line.
Yeah, sure enough, he drills Woodward after the whistle blew. That's why the flag came out. And boy, as much as we propped up that Boise State offensive line on the drive before, 2 costly penalties alone on this drive.
It's a packed house here tonight. 2nd and 24 after the infraction. Play action for Rippon. Pressure off the edge. Steps up. Wide open. That'll be a first down, and it'll be 1st and goal as John Bates, the tight end, makes the grab. It's a gain of 30.
Well, a lot of 12 personnel tonight. 1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and they slip Bates around the formation, Roy. Just very strategic play that time by Boise State, and just running a little bit of a wheel route, and Rippon again with his accuracy puts it right between the 8 and the 5 of Bates.
Timeout, Boise State, first of the half. Timeout on the field.
Timeout as we step aside. Boise State with the lead and threatening.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. You can do more in a jiffy.
Now the Broncos football players singing and serving at Boise Rescue Mission's annual Thanksgiving dinner. Ryan Harsin and company, along with Curtis Weaver, doing their very best to help those that are less privileged. Here in the Gem State, second quarter action, 10-7. Broncos out in front. Tom Ramsey, Edward Ashoff, Roy Philpott. Great to have you with us tonight. Another sensational weekend of college football almost in the books, including this matchup here. 1st and goal. Madison already with 1 touchdown this evening. Stacked up here and driven backwards. No gain on the play, and John Trail Rockamore, one of the best names in college football, led the charge.
Well, they just clog up the hole. That time, Utah State with a lot of hats around the football. And you got to believe that Boise State, they did a great job in their last drive play actioning to Alexander Madison. But, you know, when you get this close to pay dirt and you have such a great back, why not run Wildcat?
And Madison steps in to do exactly that. Aggies are going to call a timeout in response.
Utah State, first of the half. Timeout on the field.
10-12 remaining here in our first half as we check in with Adnan Virk back in the studio once again.
It's time for the Boise Office Equipment Copier Race. Choose your color and cheer it on to the finish line.
Yeah, win tonight, no doubt about it. The Fighting Irish are going to be there for the first time in school history. And Ian Book has really turned a lot of heads this year. Started the season as a backup, now basically leads the country in completion percentage.
Yeah, there's a lot of impressive quarterback play across the country. Ian Book being one of them. Tua Tagovailoa being another one. Trevor Lawrence being another one.
Hey, did you see the knee brace come off of Tagovailoa today?
Yes, I did.
It's a big deal.
I saw him running as fast as I've ever seen him run. And I mean, boy, I thought Jalen Hurts was a great runner, but Tagovailoa is impressive.
Looked as if that kind of gave him some more freedom of movement in that knee. And if he's able to run the football in the upcoming playoff, assuming the Crimson Tide beat Georgia next week in the SEC championship game, that's another weapon that is so hard to account for if you're an opposing defensive play caller.
Yeah, we always talk about that. You know, the quarterback in the run game, and I think Jordan Love for Utah State can be a very effective runner tonight as well in this big game, because the defense has to account for all those facets of the offense. And, you know, Brett Rippon, you're not going to see him run a lot. It's interesting that Boise State just lined up in Wildcat, so they put Madison in at quarterback. Utah State calling a timeout, see if they make the adjustment. We'll see if Boise State sticks with their plan.
A chess match ensuing between these two great coaching staffs. Rippon back on the field and under center, at least to start. And a flag on the field in the end zone.
Illegal substitution, 12 on defense, half the distance to the goal, still second down.
That'll move it inside the 2.
Well, my question is this: how do you make that mistake coming out of a timeout? That's a big oops right there.
DJ Williams quickly runs off the turf. The Broncos get a free yard. And here's Madison, the hammer to the end zone for the touchdown. Second score of the night for the junior running back already. Over 1,000 yards this year.
Well, Roy, he's been so impressive. Again, they run right behind Ezra Cleveland, the big left tackle, and why wouldn't you? He just knocks people out of the way, and then they pull the guard around as well. Quevedo, the big right guard. Boy, they get it done in the run game.
So the Aggies have won 10 in a row before tonight. Boise State 6 in a row. And now the Broncos with a 10-point lead. 10:09 remaining here in our first half. Broncos with 17 unanswered, and John Bates an enormous play on second and 24 moments ago.
Well, the play that got Boise State down, they take 2 receivers, they run them across the field, Roy, and then Bates is the tight end. They run a wheel route, and the ball is delivered perfectly after play action to Alexander Madison. Boy, talking about clearing people out, opening up a huge opportunity down the field, and John Bates catching a dart again by Brett Rippon.
Nation's leading kick returner, Savon Scarver, kneels down. It'll be first and 10 from the 25 as we take a look at our playoff rankings presented by Capital One. And the big surprise today, Michigan going down hard in Columbus. Washington State also eliminated from playoff consideration with a loss last night in the Apple Cup.
I had moved Ohio State down, as everyone did, after, of course, their loss. All of a sudden they knock off Michigan. Really? I mean, they throttle them. And I know that's a tough loss for Michigan. Washington State, of course, losing to their rival, Washington. And, a lot changes. I think Georgia moves up quite a bit there, Roy.
Well, the Buckeyes will get Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game next weekend, and the comparisons are already out there. If Alabama beats Georgia, will you have 2 teams going head-to-head for that final spot? Ohio State and Oklahoma. So let the debate begin early, even though it could obviously still change with the games to come. And OU will get Texas as Darwin Thompson picks up a couple. It'll be third down for the Aggies.
Oklahoma just, they keep winning. I know they the scoring in that Oklahoma-West Virginia game, that was remarkable. It's like a pinball machine.
Basketball on turf. Utah State 1 for 4 on third down. Make it 2 for 5 as Jalen Green comes up with another big play.
Well, really a nice opportunity and target there for Jalen Green. And Jordan Love was a little more patient with the ball that time and waited for the play to develop.
The Aggies put so much pressure on your defensive play calls right back at the line of scrimmage as soon as the ball is spotted.
Yeah, they really make you show your hand on defense. If we're going to give you this formation, how are you going to play us? And then Jordan Love can dial up the play, and a lot of times it's RPO.
With Thompson in the backfield across the middle. Aaron Vaughn's another huge play for Utah State as he rumbles into Boise State territory. Jordan Happel brought him down after a gain of 19.
Well, they got a little cute on their last series, of course, when they missed it play on 3rd down, and they went for the fake on 4th down.
And the RPO on Quavian Tarver, who's been awfully quiet so far tonight. Picks up 7 on 1st down.
And Tarver's a matchup problem for so many teams, and for Boise State as well. 6'3", 215-pounder. You got to know where he's at.
More tempo. Handoff. Thompson to the edge. Another hurdle. Stays in bounds and finally tripped up inside the 20. Gain of 18 yards, and the Aggies offense catching fire.
Beautiful running that time by Darwin Thompson. Just letting his block set up and being patient. He had a hurdle as well.
Love in the flats to Vaughn. Makes a man miss, ushered out inside the 15. Boy, this defense without a chance to catch its breath, much less the announcers here in the booth.
And Roy, what I like about those receivers at Utah State, they block for one another.
It's a selfless team. Thompson drops it. Third down and 4, halfway through our 2nd quarter. Crowd rises to its feet once again.
Aaron Vaughn's number 11. Keep an eye on him. He's in the slot up top, and he can be awfully effective down here in the red zone.
Love looks his direction, now the other way towards the end zone. There's Tarver, and the jump ball receiver reels it in for a touchdown.
Well, there's the matchup problem we were talking about. Ronquavian Tarver, 6'3", going over Jalen Walker, about 5'11". He might have gotten away with a little bit of a push there. This is a great view, ground level. And Tarver has caught a few of those this year. That's number 7 on the year for Tarver. And I just think number 1 is just such a good player.
Outstanding weapons for both of these teams here tonight. We thought it may be a shootout. We knew it would be close. And that's exactly what we've seen so far.
Well, here's where Utah State's so good, right? 9 plays, 75 yards, 2:35 off the clock. So they're getting back into their DNA, which is score quick, early and often. And, you know, series ago when they went after the fake punt, that, you know, I kind of scratched my head on that one just because they're so good, Roy, at driving the ball down the field.
Well, this season Taco Bell is celebrating student sections and passionate fans like those here at Boise State with their mascot Buster Bronco by awarding the best student section of the year. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see if your team made this week's rankings and to see how your school can compete. A great crowd on hand here tonight is what you would expect for a game of this magnitude. Tom, it's the first battle of top 25 teams in the Mountain West since 2010. The student section, they've been rowdy tonight.
How about this? Both head coaches this week giving props to Commissioner Craig Thompson. Hey, Commish, nice job scheduling the way you did. Utah State, Boise State for the Mountain Division and the representative for next week's championship.
Now the Broncos have won the title 3 of the last 6 years as Butler is escorted out of bounds. Right at the 26-yard line. Boise State won it last year over Fresno State, of course. We could see that same matchup, but the Broncos hold serve here at home tonight. And Brian Harsin, what job he's done in his 5th season. Business as usual here on the blue turf.
Yeah, you know, he said something to us this week, Roy, and I loved it. You know, the players were not in school this week. So he said time plus focus squared equals superior preparation. And I thought that was interesting, but he said, you know, we have to have that sense of urgency and intensity throughout the week and prepare for this level of game.
And the zone read to Madison. And what a season he has had so far. Edward Ashoff on the sidelines with more.
Yeah, guys, Madison is a guy who is in a dual immersion program. He grew up in San Bernardino, California, and gang violence around him, not the best situation for him growing up. And his parents decided, look, we want to get you away from this. So they enrolled him in a school away from where he grew up so that he could do a program where he learned all of his subjects in Spanish.
Delay a game. Number
did
94.
it through high school.
Defense.
Still doing it now.
Abrupt movement that caused the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And the Broncos will pick up 5 yards. Madison tonight, to that point, 61 yards on 11 carries.
Correction. That penalty yardage is enough for a first down.
And that'll move the sticks. Preseason All-Mountain West Conference performer back in the summer, Tom, and back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. A lot of numbers, but the guy produces that.
Yeah, and they've really done a great job producing 1,000-yard rushers in this program. But Madison is really, he took it to the next level last year and this year. He's really been the consummate teammate.
Quick toss for Rippon. And sent out of bounds crossing the 40, a gain of 5. As Butler makes his second catch of the night.
You know, Roy, Brian Harson's done such a great job. You know, they put up tons of points up here in the blue, but that list of great rushers that Boise State has had, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a who's who list. We'll get to that in a moment.
On second down, Rippon pressured, and down he goes back at the 36. That'll force a third down and long. David Woodward shot out of a cannon, brought him to the turf.
How about Woodward leading the Mountain West Conference in tackles, and he only had 20 tackles a week ago against the Rams in Fort Collins.
That's getting the job done.
Yeah. Boy, they were like, how many number 9s do you have? Right? College football always has duplicate numbers. No, we just have one number 9 on defense.
As a former high school running back and free safety, moved inside this year. It has paid dividends. Third down, Rippon. Flag on the field. And delivers a pass. Incomplete. Check the penalty in the area of holding.
Holding, number 79. Offense. That penalty is declined. Fourth down.
Now, Tipa Naliai getting pressure on Rippon, the TCU transfer, and he has been a one-man wrecking crew at times this year for Utah State. First time tonight we've called his name.
Yeah, Kadavo with the hold there, but boy, I tell you, Naliai, so he's a tough out. He is a tough out. They only rushed 3 too that time.
Quinn Skillen. Will hit this punt from his own 25. Nathan lost the handle on it for a moment, now waiting for the convoy. And there goes Jordan Nathan. Steps out at the 35. Well, a lot happening there. After a 53-yard punt, Aggies will have good field position after a nice return by Jordan Nathan. 5:09 remaining here in our first half. Don't forget, you can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus. Start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or by visiting ESPNplus.com. After a punt return of 22 yards, Tyson Maeva hit the blue turf hard moments ago. A big block by DJ Nelson to spring Jordan Nathan. Play that could have ended in disaster for the Aggies. Play action for Jordan Love. Jalen Green, the transfer from SC, has spun around after a short gain of 3. Green, one of those players that Matt Wells told us this week, we got to get the football in his hands more.
Yeah, he's a good playmaker for them. Great athleticism. Jordan Love again working the outside perimeter.
And a quick toss. Nathan, who had the punt return moments ago, picks up a first down. Tyler Horton with a stop as he shoved him out.
Jordan Nathan's been banged up a little bit. Missed the game at CSU a week ago. Back in the lineup tonight.
Aggies with tempo once more, setting up the screen for Tarver ahead to midfield. A gain of 1 on the play. Blake Whitlock belted him down quickly. What kind of strain does this put on the defense? We mentioned the play calling, but for these players, they can become winded in a hurry, right?
Well, and Boise State's trying to sub out right now, Roy, and it has a huge impact on them. I mean, we've seen them bent over and winded tonight, and Boise State's, they're pretty good shape.
Love wants to go deep, flings it across the middle. Pass is incomplete and almost picked off. Jordan Nathan crossing the middle of the field was covered by Tarek Jones.
And the ball just goes right through his hands.
Big play for both sides. Ball at midfield. Aggies need 9 to keep the drive alive. And Love will fling it. Incomplete. And Jordan Love hit the turf once again.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to get done. Louis there to put the hit and the pressure on Love, but they had a 4-receiver route, and they ran everyone off deep, and then it looked as though they were trying to get a deep comeback out to the near side, and just Love never having the time to throw.
Heinz sends this one high and short. And the Broncos will take over. 3:38 remaining in our first half. Adnan Virk has more. Well, I tell you this, Jimbo Fisher has done a really nice job remolding and rebranding that Aggies football team. It's going to take some time to get where they want to go. But you can see the direction. A close loss against Clemson as Richardson is hit hard after a gain of 5. But if you're a fan of Texas A&M, I think you like what you've seen this year.
Does it surprise you at all that Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher grew up in the same part of the country and kind of similar backgrounds, and I mean just dedicated, hardworking ball coaches?
It doesn't. And you know, with both of those programs, no shortcuts anywhere. We saw with Jimbo at Florida State. Handoff, first down, Boise State. And a flag on the field at the 30 will check the penalty after another nice gain by Madison. And this one coming back.
Holding, number 76, offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still second down.
Ezra Cleveland, so we've seen penalties on the left tackle, the left guard, and the center. Costly ones at that tonight for Boise.
And the right guard, the only, really, John Ojukwu, the right tackle, is the only one that hasn't gotten a flag. And those are silly penalties. We talked about it a moment ago, where these silly flags are setting Boise State back, and their offensive line has been a great asset to them the last several weeks, and they have to play well tonight, because right now Utah State will gamble on defense. The Aggies will bring extra pressure.
Play action for Rippett. Wants it all. Instead, fires short, and it's incomplete. We had a receiver breaking open in plus territory. Cameron Haney, ample coverage on Butler.
On Tipa Nalei again coming from that edge, and number 10 sure is a disruptive player, Roy. He again started his career at TCU, and it's interesting, Matt Wells, the head coach, knows his family well. They've had eyes on him all the time, and so it was kind of a natural spot for him to come to, but he has been such an impact player for them.
3rd down and 15 for the Broncos. Rippon steps up, fires it long, and it's caught in Utah State territory. C.T. Thomas, arguably the best hands with this Boise State program, did drop a pass in preseason camp, and a nice grab there.
C.T. Thomas is fun to watch, an explosive player. He gets down the sideline, and Rippon just lets it fly right here. Beats the safety, Ferguson, and Just a really nice catch. It's a heck of a throw, stepping up into the pocket and just ripping the ball.
Broncos coming in tonight at 9-2 after a gain of 34. Madison motions out, ripping backside pressure, and down he goes. Nalei got there at just the right time. Games. Aggies, school record 10-game winning streak coming into tonight. Boise State has won 6 in a row. Two of the hottest teams in the country this side of Bama, Clemson, and Notre Dame. And a rare snap for Rippon under center. Stretch. Madison makes a nice cut into plus territories. We check in once again with Edward Ashoff.
Yeah, guys, I talked to Boise State head coach Brian Harrison coming out of the half, and he said, look, I don't know how we stop these penalties. I don't have the answer for it, but they've got to stop in the second half. He likes the way his defense is getting after Utah State quarterback Jordan Love. He wants to keep the pressure on them. Offensively, he likes the bounce, but he hated that they did not finish at the end of the first half.
Good stuff. 12:49 remaining here in the third. Clock running as Richardson moves in motion. Critical third down here for the Broncos. Down the flats, Madison wide open. Little shake, a little bake. Brought down short of the 35. That'll move the sticks. An impressive drive developing here for Boise State out of the break.
Well, pass protection was an issue towards the end of that first half, Roy, for Boise State. So what do they do on third down? They let Madison kind of escape out to the short sideline, and he does not have blocking responsibility. So he's a hot back, and Brett Rippon, of course, knows that, gets the ball right to him for the first down.
After a gain of 12, they'll set up the screen to 22 in blue, and he's going to lose 2 yards. John Trell Rockamore read that one. And the pick 6 last week, Tom, as you mentioned in the first half, and now they've moved him in at linebacker from his safety position from a year ago. Andrew Van Buren now checking in for Boise State at running back. Touched it once in the first half. Let's see what they dial up here. He'll get the carry and pick up 4. It'll bring up 3rd and long.
4-yard gain.
Quiet start here in Albertson Stadium to begin our third quarter. It was loud early and often in the first 2 quarters.
I thought the crowd would be a little more into it tonight. It's been kind of a quiet crowd. Boise State so far in the night, 6 of 11 on third down.
Robert Mahone checking in. And here's Rippon. Backside pressure takes off. Rippon will be brought down short of the 25. It'll be 4th down and 1, and now decision time for Brian Harsin.
Well, and again, Utah State only rushing 3, Roy. However, Nalei off the edge, the disruptive force, able to come in, and Boise State here going for it on 4th.
Gotta like this call after Hogarth missed that field goal attempt from 33 yards out at the end of the first half. Madison joins Rippon in the backfield with the handoff. And this one will come down to the spot. Christiansen and Woodward met him right in the hole. I don't know if he got there. It's going to be close.
Yeah, it is going to be close. They short of the line. The referee called it right on the spot without a measurement.
Timeout on the field.
10:06 remaining here in our third quarter. Utah State football when we come back. ESPN College Football presented by Geico. Boise State with a 3-point lead. Don't forget Week 12 Monday Night Football. Big time matchup. The Houston Texans, who have won their last 7 games, take on the Tennessee Titans. Coming in at 5-5, 8:15 Eastern, 5:15 Pacific. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Served by Applebee's. Utah State football and a quick toss to Dax Raymond. Will gain 7. Brought down by Jones. And here comes the tempo once again. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Edward Ashoff. In a de facto Mountain Division championship game. Aaron Vaughns sent hard out of bounds, just short of first down yardage.
And Roy, a moment ago, Dax Raymond, that was his first catch of the night. He'd had 2 targets in the first half.
Crowd back on its feet. Handoff goes to Thompson, who's going to lose yardage. It'll bring up 4th down. Gahan with the tackle. First time tonight we've called his name, and he's been more of a factor these last couple of weeks. 3 and out for the Aggies.
Boy, stuffed on 3rd and 1. Curtis Weaver stepping up big. And, you know, you got to, those are the ones you have to convert. If you want to win this game and take it to the Mountain West Conference Championship next week, you got to convert on 3rd and 1.
Interesting start to our 3rd quarter. A low line drive punt. And I believe that went off the back of one of the upbacks for the Aggies. Taylor Heinz did his best to get rid of it. A 25-yard punt. And that's one way to get the job done, but it was a close call. Boise State football after this. Well, same team, same stakes. 4 years ago, Jay Ajayi here on the blue turf rushed for a career-high 229 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Mountain Division Championship at stake. Boise State held serve at home. 50-19 was the final score. And the J train still running after an incredible performance. Same stakes here tonight. Of course, the winner of this one will claim the Mountain Division Championship and face off with Fresno State in a home game, we might add, next week. The Mountain West title contest.
Pretty good player, that Ajayi, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. You talk about a force. Broncos with the football after Utah State went 3 and out. Ripping with all kinds of time. Delivers a shot deep down the field. And it's going to be caught by A.J. Richardson. And that'll get the crowd to its feet. A gain of 44.
Well, Boise State has taken their shots tonight, and A.J. Richardson again, you know, such a great route runner, Roy, and he has the defender on his back hip. And just no place to go for Aaron Wade. Beaten deep, and credit, again, Brett Rippon, the all-time leading passer of the Mountain West Conference, coming into tonight's game, 13,000 yards. And that is just an impressive throw.
And he looked like a quarterback that's thrown for that kind of yardage in his career. And once again, back corner. The pass is incomplete. Boy, that was close for C.T. Thomas.
Incomplete pass. 2nd down.
C.T. Thomas had his man beat. Haney, watch him lay out. And this ball just comes out on impact. You have to control the ball through that contact with the ground, and boy, that's a great effort by him. Great attempt by Rippon.
Rippon 17 of 26 for 275. We'll swing it out. Brought down at the 10 is Thomas. Crowd wanted a face mask. They will not get it. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, I thought Naliai got away with a face mask there, because see if where that left hand goes. Naliai coming in, and just had it by the shoulder pad. Nice takedown by number 10.
Butler motions out, empty backfield. Broncos need 5. Halfway through our 3rd quarter. Rippon with all night to throw. End zone. It was caught. A flag inside the end zone. Monster reeled it in, and they're going to rule him out at the 3. That was an interesting sequence.
It sure was. I'm not sure what the flag is, Roy, but again, Utah State only rushing 3. Rippon knew it. He had all day to throw.
Here's Scott Campbell with the call.
Number 8 went out of bounds, came back inbounds, was the first to touch a pass. Illegal touching, lost it down at the previous spot. 4th down.
Well, that's the second time in as many weeks Utah State has been the benefactor for an illegal touching call. And clearly Monster steps out.
Yeah,
back of the end zone.
Back of the end zone. He runs out. Sure enough, comes out. That's a great call by the referee. They have been on top of it tonight. Really all season long.
A 27-yard field goal attempt as Utah State.
The ruling on the field was illegal touching. Number 8 went out of his bounds on his own, came back, caught the pass. Previous play is under further review.
A replay official tonight, John Hanson. This will not take very long.
When you rush 3, you know the quarterback knows you're just playing zone,
ruling on the
falling
field
back.
has been confirmed. 4th down.
So sure enough, went to the replay booth. They saw Monster step out of the back of the end zone. Rippon came back across. That play for naught.
Now the penalty a week ago saved Utah State from losing at Colorado State as Preston Williams caught what appeared to be game-winning touchdown in the corner. Instead, it was illegal touching. The game ended. And the field goal is good. And our new score, Boise State leads it by 6. Well, drama 7 days ago in Fort Collins. Utah State rallied late. Aaron Vaughns catching the go-ahead touchdown from Jordan Love with 43 seconds remaining. But CSU right back down the field. And on 3rd and 5 with time winding down, Preston Williams appeared to catch the game winner in the end zone before an illegal touching was called to negate the score. The game ended, and Utah State claimed the 5-point victory. Similar call moments ago, preventing a touchdown, perhaps from Boise State, or at least keeping the drive alive. Matt Wells got to feel good about those 2 penalties that have helped his club out.
They sure did. And last week against Colorado State, you know, that team, Utah State, never left the field. Matt Wells knew it. Once the hat was thrown, that told him that Preston Williams was out of bounds.
Rare return for Scarver tonight as the Aggies take over. Don't forget, your Week 12 NFL Sunday starts right here, 10 a.m. tomorrow with Sunday NFL Countdown. Sam and the guys will have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and they'll have previews of each and every game right up to kickoff. Also on the ESPN app, so you can watch it anywhere, like you may be watching tonight, the SEC Network, in a thriller between Texas A&M and LSU. We just saw something about 7 overtimes. The Aggies here in the Mountain West from their own 21. They're going to back them up 5 after this penalty.
Be a procedure on Utah State.
Delay a game. Number 90, defense, abrupt movement to cause the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Well, how about that? Turned it around on him, didn't they? Delay a game. I don't think I've heard that one before, Roy. That's
on the defense.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL has a rule. When they enter into that neutral zone, they draw the tackle to move.
That was close to a lateral. It'll sail out of bounds, incomplete. Gerald Bright, the intended target.
Rolling on the field, incomplete forward pass, 2nd down.
And a moment ago in that clip from a week ago, the CSU game, Aaron Vaughns was the key component, and I think they got to get it back to Aaron Vaughns tonight.
Bright on 2nd will come up 1 yard short, brought down by Curtis Weaver. 3rd down.
Well, they haven't been able to convert on 3rd and short tonight, 2 different times.
Out of the gun, Love wanted the quick toss, couldn't get there. Vaughns turns around, makes the catch, and right on cue, Tom Ramsey. Utah State in plus territory after a gain of 24.
Well, that was very similar to the route. The inside receiver, he just runs a little short corner, and the ball is thrown with precision that time. And Jordan Love finding his go-to guy tonight. Vaughns, 6 catches on 6 targets, 94 yards.
Matt Wells confirming to us this week he is our best make or miss player. Big play potential for number 11 in white tonight. From the 46, quick strike, Love. And Jordan Nathan with the catch. Check that, Devin Tompkins for a short game.
Well, and in big games, you have to rely on your go-to players, your star players, and this is really what it comes down to.
Love on the run, fires a strike, and that's a tough pass to make, moving in the opposite direction, and there's your guy Aaron Vaughns once more.
Really is a nice job by Jordan Love, extending, going to his left, and just getting his shoulders turned, throwing a really nice ball. Vaughns makes a nice catch on it.
Made that look easy. Deep handoff, stacked up at the line, no gain. And Utah State now threatening. Approaching 5 to play in our third quarter. Fresno State awaits tonight's winner in the Mountain West Championship game 1 week from now. And the Bulldogs will travel on the road regardless of who wins this one this evening.
And Roy, Utah State's offensive line doing a great job, not allowing any sacks, giving Jordan Love a clean pocket. They've only given up 7 sacks the entire year, and Boise State with 36 on the year coming into this game. They got to get a little more pressure on Love.
Right in the backfield, Love. Quick strike, and that one will gain a couple. Jordan Happel brought down Nathan.
And Boise State brought Canijo off the edge that time with a blitz, but the ball gets out of Love's hands so fast.
Big play, trailing by 6 for the Aggies of Utah State.
Looks like the pressure package again by Boise State. Starting to creep up on the line of scrimmage.
Play clock at 4. Here's Love. Pump fakes. Pressured, and down he goes. And the Broncos collapse the pocket. Sam Whitney with a sack.
Well, pressure package that time by Boise State. They bring an additional defender, and they get the sack on Love. And just as I was singing the offensive line's praises, they allow a sack.
First sack of the season for Whitney. This will be a 50-yard field goal attempt for Dominic Eberle. And he does have the leg for it. On the way. No good. Eberle comes up short, and our score remains 20-14. 3:23 to go here in our third quarter in Boise.
The College Football Playoff Top 25 Rankings Show, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN.
Back in Boise, Eberle comes up just short on the 50-yard field goal attempt. And we're talking about a foot or so as that one came in just under the crossbar. So the Broncos take over. Tom Ramsey, Edward Ashoff, Roy Philpott. Here in the Gem State. Broncos have won 6 in a row. Utah State has won their last 10 ball games. And Boise State right now with momentum playing on the blue turf. Incredible home field advantage. Crowd has been in it, especially in the first half. Short gain on first down for the Broncos.
Well, and the Broncos have to just keep moving the chains, right? They came into tonight's game wanting that run the football effectively, keep the chains moving, keep that momentum, as you mentioned a moment ago, Roy, and keep the crowd into it, right? you got to defend their home turf, and they've been awfully good on the blue.
Madison with a nice hole, close to first down yardage. Christiansen with a stop after a gain of 8.
Well, that interior run game has been really good. Madison finding a nice hole, and Ezra Cleveland, the left tackle, I think he's having a really special night. Roy, big cat, 6'6", 310 pounds, and he just dominates people. I was watching film coming into this game. I mean, they'll run him on a tackle pull, and he is so good in space as well.
And Brian Harsin telling us this week it's going to come down to us being physical on third down. The Broncos were not. And the Aggies are going to force a 4th and short. Christiansen and Haney waiting on Madison.
Yeah, they just run kind of right side zone, and they don't get the lead block. And it's great penetration by Utah State. So what do you do if you're Boise State? You think about going for it here, or you punt it away?
On your own side of the field, Brian Harsin directing traffic, and here comes the punt team. Well, for a second, you wondered if he was going to roll the dice. Really no reason to.
No reason to.
2 on the play clock. Skillen has to hurry. They're going to have to burn a timeout.
Timeout, Boise State. First of the half.
A strange third quarter almost in the books here. These two teams still feeling each other out coming out of the halftime break. Well, a big weekend headed your way next week. Playoff implications everywhere. A trio of championship tilts headed your way beginning in the Big 12. Rematch between Texas and OU. In the American, UCF now without McKenzie Milton. Certainly our thoughts are with him after undergoing knee surgery earlier today. Memphis will be a tough out. Then Clemson and Pittsburgh. The Tigers hold on tonight against South Carolina. Pittsburgh's been up and down. Pat Narduzzi's done a nice job, and Pitt defeated Clemson the last time they played 2 years ago.
And they're physical, right? You and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and boy, they have a good team. They will give Clemson, I think, a good run. And boy, as you mentioned, McKenzie Milton, our thoughts and prayers are with him. He's had such a spectacular career down at UCF.
Devastating knee injury suffered yesterday against USF. To the Knights' credit, they still handle the Bulls. 1:18 remaining. And Jordan Love back on the field. He's thrown for a couple of scores, also 1 interception. What do you make of his performance thus far?
Well, that was I fooled you play, and Conejo made a nice one-handed grab there on the pick, but then he threw a nice ball to Jalen Green for the touchdown, and got another one to Tarver, and I just think they have to go back to their playmakers, Roy.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Love has been spectacular at times tonight, but this is when he needs to be really good, right at the end of the game, and they've relied on him all year, and for good reason.
It feels like Boise State should be ahead by more than just 6 points at this juncture. Missed a chip shot field goal, and some other costly penalties have prevented that from occurring, but the Broncos have driven deep Utah State territory a couple of times.
Miles with the tackle.
So an opportunity still here for Utah State, as Maeva is being tended to on the blue turf.
Yeah, Maeva's had a rough game. He was somewhat injured on the big punt return by Jordan Nathan earlier in the game. In the first half, he was down for a bit. Trainer's out to tend to him again and walking it off, but you know, again, Jordan Love, where he has to be good is you know, third down, they have to convert, because I think every possession now, even in this one-score game as close as it is, if you make a mistake in your own end, you really give Boise State a short field and an opportunity to go up again. So now's the time, put a drive together, get the chains clanging. Love with a pocket, fires his strike. That'll be good enough to move the chains.
Here comes the quick tempo as Jalen Green makes another reception, the transfer from SC.
And I like Jalen Green. He's a physical player, get great body position that time.
Love wants to go deep off his back foot. Tarver's down there, makes the grab at the 35, and there's the big play the Aggies have been searching for. That's a gain of 42 yards right in the face of Tyler Horton.
Well, Roy, go to your big physical targets, and Green and Tarver are imposing.
To the end zone, Green. Blanketed by Avery Williams.
Tarver a moment ago working against Tyler Horton, one of the most experienced players for the Broncos, and he's had such a great career, played in 47 games for them. Only 4 career interceptions, but again, Jordan Love taking control of this game.
15 seconds remaining here in the third. 2nd and 10 for Utah State. Only loss this season for the Aggies on the road in East Lansing way back in week 1 against Michigan State. Pressure off the edge. Quick toss is incomplete. Taylor Compton was out there. And too much zest on that pass.
Well, Taylor Compton just has to make the play. I mean, it's a short sideline throw. It goes right through his hands, and well, you got to come down with that one. Utah State 4 of 10 tonight on 3rd down. Missed the field goal their last time down here, so it's important. Even if you don't get the first down, Roy, you got to get a chunk of yards to at least set up your field goal unit.
That's exactly what the Aggies were thinking as Thompson is belted crossing the 30. It'll bring up a 4th down and 5.
Man, Curtis Weaver, I mean, hits the ball carrier almost as hard as you can hit someone. Boise State up 2014.
The ESPN app now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
A 1-score game to begin our 4th quarter. 4th down and 6 for Utah State. Eberle to attempt a 45-yarder. 0 for 1 tonight on the way. And it's good. And a big kick for Utah State. And it's 10-game winning streak, 20-17. Now we showed you the graphic going out to break. Boise State has been just about unbeatable, holding on to a 3rd quarter lead here at home. 112 consecutive wins as Eberle connects. And in case you're wondering, the team that is closest to those 112 consecutive victories, LSU, 2nd in the nation at 69. So you get Brian Harsin a lead in the 4th quarter. He's going to cash it in.
Yeah, well, and this year Utah State has the different components. That's a big kick by Eberle. He had missed earlier at 50, and to make that one, Roy, on a cold night, there's moisture in the air, there was snow in the area last night, and the ball didn't get up real high, but he drove it, and it may come down to a kick tonight.
Matt Wells said this week, survive and advance. We found a way in Fort Collins. Can they do it again on the road tonight? Taking that one back all the way to the late Jim Valvano at NC State, 1983 in the NCAA tournament. That's one way to operate, Coach.
I loved what Matt Wells said this week, too, because the game was so close last week with CSU, and it came down to the last play, and he recalled a story his grandfather told him when he was growing up, and Grandpa Wells was a golf pro, and he said, Matt, there's a reason why there's a tiny little box on a golf scorecard. Just take your par and move on. Don't think about it. Don't write a paragraph about it. And he was happy to get out of Fort Collins with a win.
No doubt about it. Rippon will throw it on 1st down. Dancing out of bounds is Modster and a gain of 11.
Well, that's a nice throw to start a drive on 1st down by Brett Rippon. He just rips it. A timing route, quick out to Modster. It's out of bounds. Nice timing between quarterback and receiver.
5 catches, 81 yards for Monster, who had a monsters game last week, scoring 3 times. And that was by design, according to offensive play caller Zach Hill, as the Broncos won easily in Albuquerque.
Well, they just caught New Mexico in a bunch of blitz coverages, and Monster was the receiver that just came wide open. I went back and reviewed that film, and you know, Zach Hill draws him up pretty well.
He does.
And Monster's a really good route runner, and that's why he's been so successful in this offense. It's kind of like Thomas Spurbeck, who was a great possession receiver for the Broncos the last several years. Monster really has stepped into those shoes.
Broncos have been a pipeline into the NFL, going all the way back to Dan Hawkins, Dirk Cutter, Chris Peterson, who had a big win yesterday in the Apple Cup. Madison, a power run, will make it 3rd down and 4. Dalton Baker with the tackle, and Madison approaching 100 yards tonight.
Yeah, we've had a little adventure the last 36 hours, going up, doing the Apple Cup, driving through the Idaho wilderness, and saw all kinds of deer and elk. Probably at the wrong part of the evening.
Not to mention the snow-covered roads.
Yeah.
Madison, you saw it, 99 yards. A big play here for the Aggies defense. On 3rd down, rip it. Pass will be caught right at the line he needed to gain. That was Thomas. And they're going to give him the 1st down, I believe.
Yeah, his forward momentum was past the sticks. And again, that short sideline out, that's such a timing route. And watch Rip, and the ball comes out immediately. He identifies the coverage. He's got several defenders over there, but he just sticks it in there. Good for the 1st down.
Well, you've talked a lot this year in the games we've called about the timing of the ball exiting the quarterback's hands. And Rippin tonight is playing like a senior signal caller. This season, he's completing close to 70% of his passes, a career high. This time flings it deep. Monster had a step. And that time Rippin overshot his intended target. He also got popped.
Well, Rippin, he got destroyed by Tipa Naliai. Naliai draws the flag, and that's going to be targeting as well, Roy. He comes with the crown of the helmet.
Roughing the passer with targeting. Number 10, defense. Previous play is under further review.
You know, think about this. If it goes through and they say targeting, Naliai has to sit out. If Utah State were to win this game, they host the Mountain West Conference Championship, and that's just a play that, for a player's safety, has been disavowed, and the referees are going to call it every time. And that's what's going to happen there. Boy, Rippin really took a shot.
A ferocious hit. Naliai. If they take one more look at it, would either miss the first half, the Mountain West Conference Championship game, or the first half of Utah State's bowl game. So our replay official tonight, John Hansen, that was forcible contact above the shoulders. And that targeting call will be confirmed. So this veteran officiating crew will figure out where the spot should go. And a costly loss for the Aggies defensively. Transfer from TCU's been everywhere tonight.
Well, and he's been such an impact player for Utah State. Matt Wells saying how much Fua, Leilua, and Tipa Naliai, the 2 transfers that came in and sat out a year ago, have meant to this defense in particular, but losing one of them really hurts.
After review, the ruling on the field for targeting is confirmed. Number 10 has been disqualified.
3 tackles, a sack, and a stop behind the line of scrimmage as well. Tipa Naliai, and that is a huge loss for the Aggies.
It's a blow when you lose your best defensive player, and so you have to make do now with the players you have remaining, and it's really been always next guy up. Well, saying, you know, what we have to do tonight is do our job. And it's a page out of the Belichick playbook, but you got to make plays. And you cannot err.
Broncos from the 38. Play action. Richardson had to spin around to catch it. And is tackled from behind after picking up 11 yards. That'll move the chains.
Well, I thought for a moment Cameron Haney, the corner, might jump the route. He comes in, crashing in, and I thought he was going for the ball. Actually, he was just avoiding the block. And Richardson does a nice job of concentration, catching the ball, and then a nice run after catch.
4 catches, 77 yards for Richardson. Here's Alex Madison. Spun around, driven down inside the 20. On first down, he'll pick up 8. Gage Ferguson with the stop. And how about Boise State? Brett Rippon's now thrown for over 300 yards. That's the 21st time in his Mountain West Conference career he's achieved that mark. The most in the history of this conference. Madison also over 100 yards. 5th time that's happened this year. He'll pick up a first down inside the 15 on that touch.
And that's where Boise State is so good. You know, the balance between run and pass, the offensive line play starting to really exert their physicality now onto this Utah State defense. And, you know, Utah State's, their defense has been on the field a lot of snaps tonight. Boise State with all those yards you mentioned a moment ago, Roy, over 417 total yards. Time of possession, definitely. And Boise State's favored by 10 minutes.
Madison with 2 cuts right in the hole, brought down at the 10. A methodical start to our second half and now into our 4th quarter. Both of these teams trading jabs. It was 17-14 at halftime. A couple of field goals so far, but the Broncos threatening on this possession.
Yeah, Boise State, they can get a first down inside the 5-yard line or at the 5-yard line.
Madison, they'll keep it on the ground, stood up after a gain of 2.
Nice run stop that time by the Aggies, and Chase Christiansen making that play from that inside linebacker position. He had 12 tackles a week ago against the CSU Rams, and you know, this is a pretty important 3rd down here, because if they can't get a first down, you expect them to kick a field goal, and then it's still a 1-score game. They get a touchdown here, it sure makes it difficult for Utah State.
7-14 on 3rd down. Here's Madison, the hammer, spun down close to the 5, and let's check the spot. Gage Ferguson, an important initial hit there, and it'll be 4th down. Decision time again for Brian Harsin, already 10 plays into this possession.
Great job by Keith Patterson's defensive unit. They stuffed the run, and Boise State, in knowing Brian Harsin and what he likes to do, he's all about getting the win, and championship week to them means you got to put more points on the board.
And that's what Brian Harsin called it. Preparing for this game, the Aggies sense the importance of this play.
Timeout.
They'll call a timeout as we step aside. A 3-point game here in the Mount Division. .907 remaining. Back in Boise, Idaho. The play of the game coming up right now. 4th down. And less than a yard to go. Harsin electing to go for it once again out of the timeout, and Rippon will move under center.
Well, and Madison lined up in the bunch formation. Then they split out. They go heavy on the left side.
Out of the offset eye, Madison hit hard at the 5, but he bounced forward to pick up the yard that he needed.
Well, the one constant tonight has been running behind left tackle Ezra Cleveland, and they load up this time with the poundage. They pull the guard around as well. Quevedo, and Eric Quevedo, he's had himself a nice game too at right guard. They have really dominated the line of scrimmage, those two players.
Well, a touchdown on this possession would make it a 2-score game. Under 9 to play. Madison approaching the goal line, spun down about 2 yards short. Another test for this Utah State defense.
Well, you see Brian Harsin willing to go for it on 4th down, and getting that first down, Roy, you keep that clock running, get a fresh set of downs, and burn off a little more time off that clock, giving Utah State just a little bit less time.
13th play of the drive. Once again, here's Madison probing, driven backwards. No gain on the play. It'll be 3rd down. And I'll ask you this question, Tom. Is this also 4-down territory if they can't pick it up here?
I think it's a great question, Roy. I think the pursuit to the football right now, Utah State, I think you would elect, if you don't get into the end zone here, I think you kick it and you take points. Because if you come away with 0, well, I tell you what, as comfortable as Utah State is, with clock management and going the length of the field, scoring, and as quick as they can score, I would put more points on.
Rippon will shift into the shotgun. 3rd down and goal. Rippon wants to throw it, surveys, end zone, touchdown! And the Broncos found a way. Garrett Collingham. He's been banged up this year. Scored on a sweep earlier this season. This time he grabs the touchdown on the 14th play of the drive.
Nice play design. They roll the pocket. And then Collingham just kind of sits in the end zone, and Rippon again, the veteran presence.
And the extra point, obviously no good, 26-17.
Extra point is no good. Time out of the field.
So they move the pocket. Brett Rippon on the run. Throws a strike into the end zone. Boise State up 26-17.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
A bad moon rising over the city of trees here in the Treasure Valley. 26-17, Boise State leading Utah State halfway through our 4th quarter. Winner of this game will match up with Fresno State in the Mountain West Conference Championship game 1 week from tonight. And they'll also host the Bulldogs regardless of who wins this matchup. Tom Ramsey, Edward Ashoff, Roy Philpott. Chilly night in Boise, Idaho. From the 4, Scarver, leading kick returner in the country, will give Utah State decent field position. And Jordan Love trots back on the field. Week 12 Monday Night Football matchup, a huge one in the AFC South. The first place Texans, led by Deshaun Watson. They won 7 in a row, take on the 2nd place Titans, who come in at 5-5. That's 8:15 Eastern. Monday Night Football is back on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and also available on the ESPN app. And with a win, the Titans in a much better position. A 3-1 divisional record. Catch up to the Texans, but Houston has been on fire. DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson, impressive. An injured Aggie back at the 18 after that 33-yard return.
See if we can see what happened here. Well, sure enough, players, boy, kickoff returns.
I believe that's Dalton Baker.
Yeah, Dalton Baker had a great play a week ago versus Colorado State. And he took a big shot there on a kickoff return, and boy, you know, such a dangerous play in football. Kickoff return, kickoff teams.
Timeout on the field as we step aside.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Dalton Baker walking off the field moments ago, a bit woozy. His wife Lindsay plays basketball for the Aggies. As Utah State takes over, and the play whistle dead before it got going.
False start, number 52. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Sean Taylor, the right tackle, will back him up 5. Well, Utah State, Tom.
Please reset the game clock. 7:15. 7-1-5. 7:15.
We get it. Needs a score here to keep its championship hopes alive.
Well, remember this. Utah State leads the nation in scoring drives under 1 minute. And that's impressive alone. They've done that 24 times this year. They jumped again.
It'll be first down and 20, and the crowd becoming more of a factor.
False start, number 87. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Dax Raymond.
And Roy, these are experienced players, you know, moving before the snap. Sean Taylor, experienced right tackle. Dax Raymond, the experienced tight end. And you just put yourself in a little bit of a hole, first and 20.
Broncos sensing they have an opportunity to slam the door shut. Love launches one deep into plus territory, and it'll be broken up. Well, Green was double covered. Tapped it up in the air a couple of times.
Well, it's a really nice defensive look that Boise State gave Utah State, and I loved what the safety did there. Tyreek Jones, he went back and had over-the-top coverage and made a play on a ball. Second and 20. Got to get a big chunk here. Aaron Vaughns would be one guy that might get a target. He's in the inside slot.
And Utah State.
Timeout, Utah State, second of the half.
Totally out of sync on this possession. A couple of penalties. And an incomplete pass. 7:08 left. 26-17, Broncos with the lead. Don't forget, Sunday, December 2nd, we'll have the exclusive reveal, the college football playoff semifinal matchups, including the Capital One Orange Bowl and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Reese Davis and company will break it all down, plus tell you about all the other big bowl games and the final top 25 rankings. Noon Eastern, right here on ESPN and also the ESPN app. Back in Boise, play action for Jordan Love. As he sends it out short, Green makes a nice move, ushered out at the 30, and a big play coming up for the Aggies' championship hopes. Third down and long.
Yeah, it's not what you want it to come down to. 3rd and 17 for sure, Roy. And, you know, the one player who provides the matchup is Ronquavian Tarver, number 1, down at the bottom of the screen.
Love will look his direction with a pocket, flings it deep. And incomplete. Green, the intended receiver, couldn't catch up to it. And this Boise State defense has been awfully impressive, especially in the second half tonight.
Well, they got out of sorts at the beginning of the drive with 2 false starts. It put them back at a 1st and 20. And then it's just too hard to recover when you get that far behind the chains. And right there, Utah State really out of sorts. This punt becomes very important because, and the Boise State return. See if they get a nice return here.
Taylor Heinz hits it from the 20, and he shanks it. Second time tonight that we've seen Hines struggle to get it cleanly off his foot.
Well, you win 10 games in a row. You're Utah State. You're 7-0 in the Mountain West Conference. And it is a shank of all shanks right there. That really puts it behind the 8 ball now.
A 14-yard punt. That's as good as a turnover if you're a fan of the Broncos. Hines has been reliable this season. Boise State and Utah State territory. Madison nowhere to run. Lucky to pick up a yard.
Madison's been good. Over 125 yards, Roy. And again, just working behind the left side of the Bronco offensive line. I can't speak enough accolades about Ezra Cleveland, the left tackle. I'm just so impressed with him. He has had a phenomenal game. He's had a phenomenal month, too, for the Broncos, putting people on their backs.
Aggies need a stop here. Boise State trying to wrap it up, perhaps, with a touchdown on this possession is Madison. He brought down after a short gain. It'll be 3rd and long. Christiansen, the tackle.
Well, you make a great point about that short punt. It is almost like a turnover because where Boise State gets the ball, across midfield, if they're not able to convert here on 3rd and 8, they're able to really punt it away and make Utah State go the long field, and that's probably what's going to happen. I would expect Boise State to be safe with the football here.
And the Aggies do have more scores than anybody in the country in less than a minute, so the quick strike ability is there. We haven't seen it tonight. Broncos need 8 here. Rippon will buy some time, gets to the edge, and that'll be it. So the Aggies defense does its job to force a 3 and out.
Well, Brett Rippon is a smart player, and that's again a veteran quarterback. Don't throw it down the field. He probably didn't like what he saw, and could have stayed in bounds, I guess, and kept that clock running. But again, clock management becomes imperative here if you're Boise State. 4:45 and running.
Skillen. It's an end over end, and the fair catch made at the 14. Now coming up next, Sports Center with Michael Eaves and Kevin Connors. Big weekend of college football. Reaction from Jim Harbaugh as Michigan loses once again to Ohio State. Tua Tagovailoa, the knee brace is off, and Alabama rolls in the Iron Bowl. Plus Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler join in on all the fun as well as we get you ready for championship weekend next weekend here on the ESPN networks. After a punt of 28, the Aggies need some points, and they need them quickly. Solid night for Jordan Love, but a drop here by Jalen Green. Now, what can Utah State do at this point? Stretch the field, find some kind of offensive rhythm. They are out of sorts.
Yeah, and it's really finding the rhythm, Roy. I mean, if you go back to the first series of the game when they whisked down the field, Jordan Love 6 of 7 on the drive and came away with a touchdown. They've been anything but that since the first series of the game.
Looked like the greatest show on turf in that opening possession. Not as much since then. Dangerous pass nearly picked off. Kaniho, who had that interception in the first half, nearly had another one there.
Okay, Kaula Kaniho really has had a nice game. He had the interception earlier, and again, spectacular play, great timing by that Boise State defense.
Time's running out for the Aggies and their 10-game winning streak.
And you really almost you're in 2-down territory, I believe, here. You're not assured of another possession, and you're still 2 scores away.
And with only 1 timeout remaining, pocket collapses, long toss. Tarver has it. He'll be marked about 2 yards short of the 25-yard line. And that'll bring up 4th down, and I'm with you. I think Utah State has to go for it.
I think they do. See, he's about a yard short. Tyler Horton, a great job coming up, making the tackle.
And what a career he's had here on the blue turf.
Yeah.
Aggies need this one right here. Inside zone and a first down for Utah State. Well, a second effort, a brilliant play by Darwin Thompson to keep the play alive. They'll stop the clock as the chains move.
You know, I loved what Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator for Boise State, told us. I'll get to that in a moment.
Love wants Tarver at the 35, and he brings it in. Ronquavian Tarver with a catch. And a flag on the field. There was contact.
Well, they're going to call it back, Roy, because Ronquavian Tarver ended up pushing Tyler Horton off while he made the catch. The flag comes out.
Pass interference, number 1. Offense, 15-yard penalty, previous spot, still first down.
So the ball's in the air, and I love that Tarver gets physical here, but you can't push the defensive back out of the way, and Tyler Horton did get pretty good body position there. Started running with Tarver, and I believe that's Jovan Bouknight, the outside receivers coach, talking to Ronquavian Tarver.
First down and 25. 3:36 remaining. The Aggies with just one timeout. Fresno State awaits the winner of the Mountain West Conference Championship game next weekend. And here's Love. Wants to go deep. And the far side throw incomplete. Thompson was running free for a moment out there. There is a flag on the field.
Holding, number 52. Offense, half distance to the goal. Still first down.
Well, I'm sure Matt Wells is sick here when, you know, the flags keep coming out on some of his key players on the right side of the screen, battling Jabril Frazier.
Boise State has elected to decline the penalty. Second down.
And that's the problem. Jabril Frazier is a great edge rusher. I mean, it puts so much pressure on your tackles, and number 8 has had a pretty impressive game. While hasn't had a ton of tackles, he's been around the ball all night.
Out of the gun. They'll set the screen. And a nice play call will pick up a chunk of yards here. And there go the Aggies. An opportunity to get to the end zone. Gerald Bright keeps it alive. Touchdown, Utah State.
Touchdown, Aggies.
From 83 yards out, and don't go anywhere just yet. It's a brand new ball game.
Well, how about that? And it's a slow screen. And boy, what a great call that was by Matt Wells and David Yost. And then the rest, Gerald Bright just, I mean, that is just an enormous play.
Jordan Happel missed a critical tackle early on for the all-important extra point. Flag on the field.
And Roy, that missed extra point of Boise State right now looming large. And
6. Defense, that penalty is declined. Try is good.
Boy, a lot of things cooking here. You know, we knew we were going to have a close game. We knew this was going to be a battle. I just love the call of screen. And really, you know, tell you what comes into question now. Not taking that holding penalty and putting them even further back. Although it probably wasn't, you know, just a half the distance to the goal line type penalty.
3:12 remaining.
Yep.
2-point game.
Yep.
Only one timeout left for Utah State. Is it too early for the onside kick? And you think about as well the ramifications of this game. The winner will play in the Mountain West Conference Championship game next weekend. And it will serve as the host school against Fresno State. Utah State's won 10 in a row. Boise State 6 straight. Do you go for the onside kick here?
Well, before I answer that, Boise State has played Fresno State earlier this year and beat them 24-17. I do not kick an onside kick here. I drive it deep.
We'll see what Matt Wells elects to do. 26-24. Aggies pulled out a miracle win in Fort Collins a week ago. Do they have enough gas left in the tank here? Alexander Madison, another incredible performance. Leapfrogging defenders, reaching the end zone on 2 occasions, and he has been a workhorse, touching the football over 30 times this evening.
He's been so good. 31 carries, 125 yards, 2 scores, and, you know, just hurdling defenders, as you mentioned, Roy. And, you know, his competitive desire, we talked about that earlier tonight, 10th career game over 100-plus yards. He has become really, I think, just such a stalwart player for the Broncos.
Broncos need a first down. Madison will gain 5, call it 6 to make it 2nd and 4.
Alexander Madison gets 6 yards.
Aggies with just that 1 timeout left, and that is a very big deal at this late hour.
Well, I wanted to pay off. I had mentioned Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator for Boise State. I loved what he said this week because it's really a team mantra too. Stay in the fight. I mean, Boise State, that's why they're so good on the blue. They're so good at home. I mean, they'll battle you for 60 minutes. And right now, you know what? They have to be really good and get a couple first downs.
You got to think it's going to number 22 again. And it does. Straight ahead, first down, Broncos, and then some. Madison off to the races. And brought down inside the 10, and that was the big play Boise State needed right there.
Right on cue. He has been the man all night. Alex Madison, you know, it's an inside zone, and, you know, he just hits the hole. Again, great blocking up front. And Roy, then at the end, he has the awareness to stay in bounds. Ferguson brings him down, but he stays in bounds.
You think about all the great running backs here at this great institution. Jeremy McNichols recently, Jay Ajayi. Going back even further, a pipeline of talent into the National Football League. It'll continue with number 22. Less than 2 to play, and a first down carry results in a gain of a couple. Aggies still with that 1 timeout. Maybe too little, too late.
Yeah, could be. It really kind of wiped out that great 83-yard touchdown of Gerald Bryant a moment ago, and that's the reality of this conference. It's the reality of how quick these teams can score, and give credit Boise State for staying in the fight.
At one point this season, Broncos were 3-2, coming off a tough loss to San Diego State. Madison bottled up inside the 5. Tom, there was a tough setback on the road in Stillwater, Oklahoma against the Cowboys out of the Big 12. And Utah State utilized final timeout. Sitting there at 3-2, 5 games in. A lot of people are wondering, hey, these guys are the defending Mountain West Conference champions. What's going to happen this year? And since then, it's been a bit of a different program. Back to the ground game, back to Madison Rippon doing his thing in his final season here in the City of Trees. And it's more of the same. This team's going to have a great chance, it appears, to win another conference title.
Yeah, they're tough. They have a lot of good components to their offense. Alex Madison, 35 carries, 196 yards, 2 TDs. We mentioned the great running backs he's followed. And just remember, you know, Ian Johnson from the big victory over Oklahoma, and that's when Brian Harsin was the offensive coordinator for Chris Peterson when he was a head coach. They had Doug Martin. You mentioned Jay Ajayi, and of course Jeremy McNichols. We've had the pleasure of working a few of his games in the recent years, and I think Madison is just, again, just such a great player between the tackles. And, you know, there's a nice look at, remember DJ Harper too. He was a speedster. Alexander Madison, wow. And what a great young man. You know, just, he had been homeless, you know, giving back to the community now. I mean, really just a model teammate and a hard worker.
Utah State out of timeouts, 3rd down and goal, 55 seconds remaining. And Boise State, oh so close to facing Fresno State right here next weekend. Madison, who else? A stutter step towards the goal line, driven backwards, and it'll be stopped just short. And the Broncos will have to run one more play as time winds down.
Well, and Roy, that's a crucial down because, boy, not getting in the end zone, you let the time run down, you take time out if you're Brian Harsin, and then you kick a field goal. That's what I would do, because you sure don't want to let Utah State get the ball and only need 3 points to win the game.
At the same time, would still have to go some 70 yards to have that opportunity. And Brian Harsin let the clock drift inside of 10 seconds and call a timeout.
Boise State, second of the half, 30 seconds in length.
Well, a lot of people interested in what happens here, given the closeness of this contest on multiple fronts. But what's the correct call if you're thinking about this? You said the field goal, you could run around, try to kneel it down, and take all that time off the scoreboard. That wouldn't really be easy. You could try to run it in for a touchdown. Of course, if you attempt the field goal, it could also be blocked.
Boy, you throw a couple of scenarios there. Oh, that's good, partner. You do present a whole array of options there for me. I'll tell you what I do. I'm going to keep it simple.
Okay.
You got me thinking now, though, because I've had, think about this. They didn't make that one extra point. They've had low snaps. I kick the field goal. I put points on the board. I kick a long squib kick, and I'm going to put my defense back on the field.
The offense is back on the field. No field goal attempt, and Rippon will move under center. Madison dives across the goal line for the score. And why not? 37 touches, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. And let the party begin in Boise. They're going back to the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
I loved the multiple choice test you gave me. Not that I failed it. Listen, points are points, but that right there, Brian Harsin electing to hand the ball to Alex Madison. He hits the 200-yard mark. Boise State goes up again by 9, and they will host Fresno State next week. But Madison just spectacular tonight. And, good hard running again. The offensive line doing their role, and boy, credit that big offensive line. They've had a nice game. I might even give them a game ball.
Think about what Brian Harsin told us this week.
Over, sportsmanlike conduct, number 51, defense, 15-yard penalty for being fast on the kickoff.
He told us his 2 star players, Brett Rippon, his senior quarterback, Alex Madison, his junior running back, are playing their best ball here at the end of the season. And we asked him to describe Madison's play in more detail, and he said, 145 yards 2 games ago, 146 last week. He's just running harder. He's more physical, and this offensive line is playing at a higher level. And guess what he does tonight? He goes from 145 to 146 now to 200 yards on 37 touches with the 3 scores as well.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I mean, the last 4 weeks, he had, 514 yards in the last 4 weeks, and to go hit 200 tonight. And then, I think more importantly, Roy, they accomplished what they set out to do, which is they wanted to represent the Mountain Division of the Mountain West Conference, play the West champion Fresno State. They get to host it here, and what a game that's going to be.
Now, Fresno State has been so impressive the last 2 seasons. It's been rebuilt as the kickoff sails out of bounds after the penalty. 2 teams met up just a few weeks back. right here in Boise. 24-17 was the final. Same two teams last year in the championship game, 17-14 in overtime. So these two programs very familiar with each other. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Jeff Tedford has done just a fantastic job at Fresno State. Of course, that's his alma mater. He was a great player himself, and you know, he has had an interesting journey, but I think him getting back on campus at Fresno, he really has injected a winning culture out there at Fresno State. And you know, listen, he's familiar with being up here.
What will be the final play of the game? The Broncos have done it. Back to the Mountain West Conference Championship game. Boise State defeats the Aggies tonight 33-24. And the Broncos are the Mountain Division champions in the Mountain West. 7 wins in a row for Brian Harsin as the 10-game winning streak for Utah State comes to a screeching halt. Brett Rippon passes for over 300 yards. Alexander Madison rushes for 200 and scores 3 times to lead the charge. 33-24 the final score. Stay tuned. Coming up next, SportsCenter right here on ESPN. Good night from Boise, Idaho.
Brett, senior year,